So chapter number 4 we are starting today. The topic is human development. Now when we talk about development, what kind of things or what kind of changes come into our mind? Is development is only related to physical features, or development also includes the psychological features or the psychological changes? Or can we say that development is influenced by an interplay of three things? What are those three things? The first one is biological aspect, right? The second one is cognitive aspect, and the third one is socio-emotional aspect, right? So whenever we say that these three things involve development, or there are changes in all these three fields. So when we talk about first biological changes, it is related to your height, to your weight, the things which you are inherited from your parents, right? The role of cognitive processes in development relate to what? As we have discussed many times, what are the different cognitive processes, or what are the different cognitive changes that occur through development? These are all your mental activities or your mental processes, such as thinking, decision making, remembering, perception, right? So all those things which are including thinking process. So this is related to the cognitive processes in development. Now, which one is the third one? As I just said, socio-emotional processes. What does it include? It includes all the changes in an individual's interactions with other people, right? And there are also changes in emotions with the age and in your personality, right? Some people are very sensitive, very emotional through their through childhood or throughout their childhood. But when they become little mature, or when they just step out from their home just to study outside, or just to do any kind of job outside their home, they become very a kind of emotionally mature person. So there is a change in emotionality, right? In emotions there is also a change in personality, right? Personality keeps on changing because we are learning new things every day. We are interacting with different kind of people in our surroundings. We are learning different kind of things daily, right? So there is a change in all three kind of processes, or you can say in three kind of fields. What are they? Biological, second one is cognitive, and third one is socio emotional processes, right? Now if I just ask you all, what do you mean by development? As we have just discussed, but what could be a very precise and formal definition of development? To be careful about this, you have to keep three things in your mind, right? We will later on discuss that what is the difference between growth, development, and maturity. This also we're going to discuss, but later. But for right now, what you have to understand, whenever we're going to write the definition, or when we're going to understand the concept of development, it means it is the pattern of progressive. First key word is what? Progressive. Second one is orderly, and third one is predictable. So three things are there. Development is the pattern of progressive, orderly, and predictable changes that begin at conception and continue throughout life, right? Got the things? What are the three key words here? Progressive means these are first of all patterns of changes, right? So these are progressive means it is progressing in an order from first to second, second to third, from third to fourth. So it is progressive every time. It is increasing, you can say. Orderly means there is a proper order, there is a proper sequence, there is a proper organization, right? The third one is predictable. Predictable means anything we can tell in advance, right? As I can say that in adolescence there are certain changes in boys and girls. What are those changes? That also I can say. So what I'm predicting the changes. So what is what is this word exactly means? Development is the pattern of what? Progressive, orderly, and predictable changes that starts or that begin at conception, right from the beginning, right? From the conception and continue throughout your life. That means till death, it continues. Development also continues in old age. Someone says, you might ask this question, ma'am, there is no physical changes or there is no progressive changes in old age. Instead, sometimes memory deteriorates, right? Your physical capacity decreases. So there are other kind of changes occur in old age. How come? Your experience is increasing. Some things are decreasing, some things are increasing with your age. When I say that experience increases with age, so it is happening with old age. Old people, elder people are much more experienced than us. They have more knowledge, they have more information, right? So changes or this progressive development is happening in one direction. Either it is developing upwards or it is also coming downward, but it is following a particular order or it is following a particular sequence, right? So this is all about development. Now let us start with the very first topic here: lifespan perspective on development. The short form is LSP. This is very important. What does it mean? Lifespan perspective. The study of development according to the LSP includes the following assumptions. Now, there are certain assumptions about development, which is known as lifespan perspective. Lifespan means throughout your life, what all kind of changes occur. So there are certain assumptions. And in short form, we used to say this LSP, that is lifespan perspective. Now, what is the first assumption under this heading? When I say development is lifelong, as we have just discussed, that it continues throughout your life, right? So development is lifelong means that it takes place across all age groups, right? It is happening in all age groups from conception to old age. It includes both gains and losses, which interact in dynamic ways throughout the lifespan. Right now, we have just discussed this thing that we are gaining something in certain age and we are losing something in certain age, but development is going on and it is a lifelong process. So the very first assumption is what? Development is a lifelong process. Okay, fine. So what is the second one now? The various processes of human development, the three processes we have just discussed, the biological, the cognitive, and the socio-emotional. So all these three processes are interwoven in the development of a person throughout the lifespan. What does this word means? That these three processes are interwoven, means these three processes cannot take place in isolation. All these three are interacting with each other, they are related to each other in some manner, and the output of all these three processes or these three aspects result in development, right? When there are only biological change, it is not possible that there is no socio-emotional change or there is no cognitive change. When you are increasing in age, right, from infant to a child, from a child to an adolescent, from an adolescent to an adult, and from an adult to an old person. So your cognitive processes or your mental activities are also increasing, right? So there is an increase, there is a development in mental activities. So when biological changes are there, so certain cognitive changes will also be there. And when cognitive changes are there, obviously socio-emotional aspect will also be affected. Fine. The third assumption is development is multi-directional. What does this mean? For example, the experiences of adults may make them wiser and guide their decisions. However, with an increasing in age, one's performance is likely to decrease on tasks requiring speed such as running. Same thing, but how we're going to express, how we're going to write it, it is multi-directional. It is not always going in the upward direction, or it is not always in the increasing manner. It is sometimes decreasing also. As they have just explained with you this example, an old person is getting more and more mature. He is becoming more and more wiser with the age, fine. But when we take the physical capacity, the physical capability of that person, it is decreasing. Now that old person is not able to do all kind of physical activities which requires either speed or which required quite many efforts, right? So he is decreasing or deteriorating somewhere when physical energy or physical capacity is there. The fourth one is development is highly plastic. That is, within person, modifiability is found in psychological development, though plasticity varies among individuals. This means skills and abilities can be improved or developed throughout the lifespan. Now, when I say that development is plastic in nature, you all have seen plastic and you all know the characteristics or the properties of plastic. Plastic can be molded in any shape. It can be melted and it can be molded in any shape. In the same manner, development is also modifiable. That means it is changeable. We are learning various kinds of skills. We are acquiring different kind of abilities, and this process goes lifelong, right? We are learning some things at this stage. When we become more mature, when we grow older, we will learn other things, we will acquire other skills, right? And sometimes what happens, we have learned certain skill, but after going through it or after practicing it, we ourselves introduce many kind of changes into that particular skill, or we make, you know, certain kind of innovations. Suppose you have learned cooking a particular kind of food, right? You have learned certain things from someone, but now with the practice, you have, you know, done some kind of innovations into your cooking style. You have tried out more kind of recipes. So you have introduced good changes into that skill. Now you are also meeting new people. So some people have, you know, suggested you many new kind of things to be done into that cooking. So you will also practice those things. So we are interacting with different kind of people. We are learning new things. We are also, connected to the social media. So lot of kind of information is there, and we used to make certain kind of changes whenever it is required. Fine, ma'am, we can stop with the recording.